Serious, since it was International Men's Day yesterday, what's one thing men struggle with? Asterisk asterisk attention. Serious tag notice asterisk 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 jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted. https://www.reddit.com/r/wiki/index-wiki_rule_6- in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit message compose to =r @reddit if you have any questions or concerns. Second 1. Playing with kids. I can play with my kids, but if anyone else's kids come near, I feel the need to be exaggeratedly hands-off. Not because of the kids, but because I don't want to give a wrong impression to any bystanders who don't get it that a grown man can have fun playing with kids without something weird going on. Loneliness, depression, being told, you're not a real man unless _______, the constant desire for validation that never comes. Feeling unloved, unwanted, and unappreciated for almost all of my life. I got called a kidnapper and pedo when I was 14. I was taking my sister back inside after we went to get some ice cream from the local truck. Lady walked up and started yelling at me and then screamed out I was kidnapping my sister. Luckily it was a small neighborhood and everyone knew us, so they started yelling at her. Playing into OP's safe at night statement, the looks of fear if you're a bigger guy just for existing. I'm a bearish looking guy and I have a natural scowling resting face. I don't mean to do it, but if I'm not paying attention or just thinking about something I look angry. That combined with men not really being trusted around children has led to multiple confrontations with well-meaning people while watching my nieces and nephews when they were younger. Multiple times have been asked to prove I was related to them, and one time a couple of women threatened to call the cops on me after I got fed up with their badgering and took my youngest niece away from the playground. Yesterday was Men's Day. For all of the breast cancer awareness campaigns out there, almost none acknowledge that men, no, not just trans men, get breast cancer. They don't have to have man boobs, either. Law enforcement not treating abused men equal to abused women. The Duluth model has a lot to do with it. https://www.the-duluth-model.org/what-is-the-duluth-model/frequently-asked-questions/closing (opening parenthesis/www.the-duluth-model.org/what-is-the-duluth-model/frequently-asked-questions/closing. Getting people to believe women can sexually assault men. I am the victim of that, and while I will be honest, it was not as horribly traumatic as incidents some of my female friends go through. About half the time when I tell the story, the response I get is laughter. But if you flip the genders, the guy would be in prison, no question. Society comparing us to a very small, very elite section of males, and thinking that statistically represents all of us. Being taken seriously when upset as a traditionally masculine male. I've seen great big hard bastards upset about serious issues only for people to awkwardly disperse or outright tell the bloke to man up or some such nonsense. I work in the security industry, and believe me, anyone can have their feelings hurt in the right circumstances. If someone is upset, you can comfort them. It's not a bad thing to get upset. I'd say for me it's probably the myth that men feel safe at night. I'm a smaller guy, about 5'5" and 130 pounds. Whenever I walk around during the night, I do not feel safe at all and am pretty scared. I taught kindergarten for a year. It's hard sometimes interacting with children without that dark negative thought in the back of your mind of how people might negatively construe any of your actions. Men can be great caretakers, love children, and not be pedophiles. But if you ask society at large, that's women's work and the guy must be a pervert. having everyone automatically assume that I'm trying to assert some sort of dominance over them. No, Becky, I'm not fucking gaslighting you. You're just wrong. Following stereotypes set by society and not to open up. The hidden assumption that men showing their emotions is a sign of weakness. It basically made me suffer 30 years. I think for society as well, for men and women, it would be beneficial to get lessons on school about emotions and how to process and show them. At least in my day it was not the norm. Mental health, opening up about stuff. For me personally, with people I don't know, I tend to give off a chilled vibe and actually talk about normal things, but it's once I feel more comfortable that people tend to see that darker side, which they go, nah, this is too much, or I should have trusted my gut, as you are just another creepy white dude. This has actually got me thinking recently that for a world that preaches about love and acceptance, it's really quick to turn its back on someone when they are clearly hurting, which in turn hurts them even more. I know my husband is just really disappointed in the world that he's basically not allowed to give compliments to women without coming off as a complete creeper. He always asks me if I will go give the women the nice compliment for him. Society is garbage. I've found that some women only want a sensitive man as long as that sensitivity is directed toward them or their problems, and the moment that sensitivity isn't serving their interests, then that sensitive guy stops being sensitive and instead is just weak or unmasculine. I'm a human being with human feelings and emotions. I get frustrated and angry. I have problems that weigh heavy on my mind at times. Why does asking for, wanting help with my problems make me less of man? Why am I expected to help everyone with their problems, but when I need help I'm expected to just deal with it? It's time women started accepting their portion of the responsibility for toxic personality traits. Overworked and underappreciated. Every thread I read about Men's Day yesterday was filled with comments from women who listed reasons that all boiled down to what men do for them to enhance their lives. Therein lies the problem. Men are not valued for our intrinsic worth, for who we are and our principles. We are valued only based on what we can provide, and measured against other men who may provide more. Every comment was, he listens when I talk. He isn't afraid to get me tampons and pads. He makes me dinner and keeps the house clean. That essentially cements the issue. It is socially acceptable to assume men's only purpose is putting aside all self-interest in pursuit of providing a better life for his family. Nobody cares about what we want or hold dear, only what we can provide for them. Sorry, but I refuse to base my entire existence on such a one-sided social contract. I'm not your beast of burden. Height shaming. I would never even be interested one bit in a woman that makes fun of you just because you're 1 inch away from the perfect height. I hate them so fucking much. Edit. Sorry for my language, but I cannot express much. These people are what destroy mental states for some men. Edit. I wonder who's downvoting something talking about something that's such a big problem. HHHMMMMMMMMMMMMM. Lots of men struggle with self-confidence because they feel they're not as good as others. A man being unemployed and jobless is much more ostracized and looked down upon by society. Sure, women have that aspect pretty hard too, and apart from being excellent spouses, mothers and such, they must also equally excel at their professional careers, as being a homemaker simply isn't enough nowadays, and stay-at-home moms are kinda looked down upon too. But men emo have that aspect much worse, and a stay-at-home dad or house husband is almost deemed a sinner by society. Granted, it's one thing to be a freeloader and be a leech of others' money. I'm talking about folks who legit try their best yet still struggle a lot in their professional lives and financially. There is a thesis that men should be able to change themselves to suit their partner, hetero relationships, but they should accept their partner for who they are. Being taken seriously and receiving help with mental problems. I've been struggling for many years, and I've learned that it's almost more common than an exception here that men don't get any help but are just told to stop complaining and learn to live with it, even by those who are supposed to be professional. Where do I fucking start? No one gives a shit if you're a victim of violence. No one gives a shit if you're sexually violated. No one gives a shit if you're mentally ill. No one gives a shit about your feelings. No one gives a shit about your vulnerability. People yelling that bringing up men's issues undermines women's issues. I remember a quote that was for a different purpose, but I'm going to amend it to this conversation. Women suffer more than men will ever know. Men suffer more than they'll ever show. Not being able to actually reply fully to a post like this. Turning down sex, just because. It's nothing to do with you. I feel fine, just. Not right now. Trying to be men. Boys are taught that they are to grow up to be men, and one of those things is not being a bitch. Don't talk about your feelings or cry or with E, because that's not how men should work, that's what women do. Fuck that. I see a therapist and a psychiatrist, and it took a lot of work, but I eventually learned to come to peace with my volatile emotions and moods. I am what I am. 78% of suicide are male, 90% plus of prisoners are male, 60% plus homeless are male, 96% of military casualties are male, 78% of murdered are male. What else you want? Edit. I didn't even know there was International Men's Day. I thought it was cancelled because when they were trying to have a meeting about this topic it was interrupted and cancelled because of one feminist outside protesting. Being the victim of abuse and people not believing me. Constantly being told we're the problem due to the patriarchy. And if you don't agree it's because you're toxic. Seeing a damn doctor. Women have checkups through their 20s, 30s, and 40s based on biological and reproductive health. They have a reason to go in and something to at least check. Men after 18 and before 50 are pretty well on our own absent serious illness or injury. Can we name our primary care doc? No. Why? We didn't need to see that doc. And even if we did, we would be saying, I'm not even sure why I am here. The pressures of providing for a household, being a man, and yet still being sensitive, caring, and nurturing. Receiving love. Yeah, girls get a lot of attention, but we don't get any. People think we're too manly to have emotions, so we hide it for when we're alone. It's not fun. Good luck, my men. Find someone to talk to and who loves you. Not being able to like girly thing because I am a boy, a very stupid exempli. I grew up thinking I must hate pink because I'm a boy and pink is for girl. Recently in a game of cyberpunk-themed D&D-ish game I made a character whose aesthetic matched the old Britain punk era, and one of the thing I incorporate was a bright pink mohawk and bright pink paint on my invention. And you know what? I fucking loved it. Since then I have started incorporating pink in many of my game avatar, because in real life darker color fit me better, so bright pink is still something I would wear, but now it's for other reason than, it's a girly color. What else have I missed because my subconscious told me it was girly and not worth my attention? The fact that sexism, rape, and single parenting is only talked about with women and men are ignored. Everybody want men to talk, but in reality the space where men can truly open up is very little. Edit. Thanks so much for the awards. I didn't expect so many people to respond. I hope all you people and your loved ones are safe and happy in these troubled times. Easiest one of them all. Emotions. Depression. At the very least it's an energy sapper. At worst it can kill you. I may have a different point of view than others regarding this, but as a white male it often feels like success and generally doing well all the time is being taken for granted. For something to be actually considered a success by others it pretty much has to be truly outstanding. It doesn't bother me too much, but it's something I noticed. In dating, height. The amount of girls I know who say they won't date anyone under 6 foot is depressing. As a male, we don't hide our feelings because it's not manly, we hide our feelings because it's oftentimes used against us, so we've learned to keep it inside. Men have an incredibly weak support system. We generally don't have friends we can vent with about relationship stuff like women do. Or just general mental health stuff. Admitting you are struggling to a male friend would just be weird. Same with things like hugs and reassurance. It just doesn't happen. We're kinda left all alone to deal with everything on our own. If you do have a woman in your life, you often struggle with being seen as unmanly or undesirable if you express any weakness. There is just so much pressure to be this rock. I don't know, being a white male hasn't worked out too well for me at this point. It's my understanding that everything should be handed to me here at some point, but instead I keep getting blamed for all of the problems of the world while being reminded that any success I have had wasn't actually earned and was just because of my race and gender. Mental health in general. No one asks me how I'm doing. And when they do, I'm expected to pretend like I'm doing fine and that I don't need someone to talk to. I fucking hate it. Also, I couldn't imagine how my life would be like if I was white and not a minority. Sure, privilege exists, but white men get shit on nowadays for simply existing. That it was yesterday and nobody cared. Believe it or not, mental illness. And the only thing worse than having mental illness is being seen as weak, inadequate, and insecure as a consequence. Source: was dumped by a long-term girlfriend after I cried in front of her for the first time. Social equality. I was watching an episode of Jerry Springer from back when Steve Wilkos was still a bodyguard. This woman smacked her husband 3 hard times and security barely intervened. Her husband hit her back. Nay, he barely tapped her when 5 security guards swarm on him and drag him to the floor. Where was this intervention when she smacked him across the face and pushed him? Also, in social equality, women are more likely to be believed when she tells a lie that she was sexually harassed than men are when they tell the truth that they didn't do it. Women often showing no thought or consideration for us or how their actions affect our mental health, and how they so easily discard us, as if we have no feelings. And we just have to accept it and move on. Suicide is not talked about for men even though it's 3x the rate of women. As a man, it's infuriating to see it ignored and disregarded. I'm a 6 feet 2 inches, bear-like male. Sometimes, I like to be the little spoon, and feel protected. Having emotions. Toxic masculinity has made having feelings or emotions a bad thing. For girls and gays, as my mom would tell me if I dared cry or sniffle near her. That issue kinda bleeds into other issues men have too. Hiding emotions because boys don't cry has led to a ton of mental health issues that go unnoticed because we hide it. On top of that, no one asks us how we are because men are supposed to be this bastion of mental fortitude and well-being. I don't know statistics or studies, but I would also wager to say men are less likely to seek help for their mental health issues as well. Being loved. Sometimes we need hugs too. Half of the time we're told that doing anything feminine is unmanly. The other half of the time we're told that doing anything masculine is toxic. Thanks for watching. See you later.